Hey, what's up, Helldivers? Today, we're going to test out all the weapons on all the factions, and I'm going to tell you whether or not it's S tier or not. So, make sure you tap the thumbs up button right away, and let's dive right into this video. Let's kick off the video by testing out the new M1000 Maxigun Stratagem. It comes with 750 bullets in one backpack, and can be easily refilled by grabbing a supply pack. No reloading necessary. With that information out of the way, we've got a charger here that can be defeated rather quickly by just aiming at the abdomen. On the other hand, if it's an impaler, you'll aim for the top portion of the head, and it'll go down just as quick as the charger did. But what about a hive guard? Yeah, you can absolutely demolish it because this gun has medium armor penetration, super quick, and it's great for hordes of enemies like so. I mean, you can just annihilate tons and tons of enemies. You're practically a sentry. Now, not only can you take down enemies with this, of course, but you can also destroy spore spewers. Super quick, super easy, and fun to do. Speaking of easy, you can easily take down a Hulk, as you just saw there. And you can also easily take down Scout Striders and shielded Scout Striders if you aim directly towards the pelvis. And what about gunships? Well, let me tell you about it. Super easy as well. Just aim for the engines and it'll come plummeting down. And Devastators, do I have to say it? Yeah, they're super easy to bring down as well. But what if I told you you can use the Maxigun to bring down a Harvester? Would you believe me? Maybe so. Check this clip out. Just aim for the legs, the top portion there. It's more like the shoulder, right? And after a few shots, it'll come plummeting down as well. Anyways, what we have next is a flesh mob, and you're gonna find this pretty entertaining. You can take it down absolutely quick, and I mean, it's like nothing. It's like butter. It shoots right through these dudes, turns them into Swiss cheese, and I absolutely love this stratagem. And it's super fun to take down the smaller enemies, especially when they come at you in groups. Such a fun weapon, and super useful too. Up next, we've got the DBS2 Double Freedom. It inflicts 850 damage, and it has two firing modes, Semi and Volley. Volley, of course, will let you fire both rounds, while Semi mode lets you fire them individually, or fire one shell and reload an extra one. You don't have to fire all of them, of course. So let's test it out on a charger. As you can see here, if you want, you can fire 2 volley shots, or 4 semi shots. Either way, you're getting essentially the same outcome. The same thing goes for the impaler here. I'm using volley and firing at the dome twice. If you don't use volley, you'll have to fire 4 times at the dome. Next, we've got some smaller enemies and medium-sized ones like the Brood Commander. What's cool about the Double Freedom is you can take out enemies from far away, like so. I'm of course using volley again here so I don't have to fire twice, which is the total number of hits it takes to bring down a Brood Commander. Now, you can also quickly take out a Hive Guard by just aiming and firing at the front here, and it's only 1 hit. That's all it takes, 1 hit to the dome, and it'll collapse. Moving along, the next faction is the Automaton. Specifically, we've got a Hulk here, and it only takes 2 hits to the back to defeat it. You can use the Double Freedom to easily cut a Devastator in half, and it's a 1-tap on both shielded and normal Scout Striders. Also, this shotgun can bring down gunships, believe it or not, with only 4 volley shots, and that was fun and incredible to see. Lastly, for factions, we're going to try it out on the Illuminate, specifically the Harvester, and yeah, it's actually possible to bring it down. Just aim for the leg joint up to the very top, and it takes a total of 5 volley shots. For the flesh mobs, you'll be surprised here. 2 volley shots to the top here, or really anywhere, and it'll collapse. Let's move along and talk about the new chainsaw sword called the CQC-1 Defoliation tool. This particular weapon will start off with medium armor penetration, but the longer you grind the sword on an enemy, it'll go up to heavy armor penetration. With that being said, the first faction on the list to try it out on is the Terminids. I will say I do not suggest grinding on the legs of a charger. Instead, I would go for the abdomen here. And the reason is you can defeat a charger faster by targeting the back instead of the legs. However, things are slightly different for the impaler. If you grind at the back legs here, it's a lot faster to destroy the carapace, and once it's gone, you can go after the orangish, meaty texture underneath, and with enough damage, it'll drop easily. But I will say I am using the brand new armor set, which has a passive that increases your damage by 100%, which is why I'm able to one-tap pretty much everything here, including hive guards, scavengers, brood commanders. I mean, literally, this chainsaw sword is fantastic for defeating all sorts of enemies and just slicing them up with just one hit. Again, you can grind on an enemy and inflict heavy, but with these enemies, most likely you'll just need to inflict basically anywhere from light to medium. It doesn't matter. But yeah, I think it's by far one of the best melee stratagems. I mean, it outbeats the one true flag. In fact, you can use the chainsaw sword to cut down a freaking spore spewer. It's incredible. You can see the proof right here. You can literally chop down a tree or a mushroom, whatever this is, and I thought that was really cool. Of course, you're going to be able to one-tap smaller enemies, and I think that's definitely without the passive, so it's really cool. Oh, and also, I wouldn't suggest or recommend that you use the chainsaw sword on a Bile Titan. You're not going to have a fun time because it'll one-tap you with the legs. Next up, we've got the Automaton, specifically the Hulk. You can target one leg and then go after the other, and you'll completely annihilate one Hulk just by going after the legs. What I wouldn't recommend is going after the front portion, which I'll show here in a minute. And I also wouldn't suggest going after the back because it's so easy to absolutely demolish the legs, and you know it'll go down faster. But like I just mentioned a few seconds ago, you're gonna see I'm targeting the front portion here, and it's not completely useless, but I mean, again, you're better off targeting the legs. Eventually this Hulk will go down, and I think that's because the top portion of the chainsaw sword ended up hitting the eyeball, which again, if it's heavy, it's going to penetrate through and take it out. Anyway, the next large enemy is going to be a War Strider. The same situation applies here. We're going to target the legs. We're not going to target anything else. Just go after the legs. Eventually, it'll drop. It does take some time, but you will notice that this particular enemy is getting stunned just by me, grinding that sword on him. So yeah, overall, it's fantastic to use on War Striders, but it's especially great to use it on Scout Striders and Shielded Scout Striders. If you're going to use this particular weapon, make sure to slice away at the legs. And I will go into detail later on and show you the differences between this chainsaw sword and without it. But nevertheless, we can see right here that I'm annihilating everything in my path. So much that the Automaton went off running. I mean, look at that. You can also take down enemies that are smaller, like the smaller bots and all that. So it's not a huge issue, obviously, with them. But what's cool with this is you can use it to destroy fabricators. I wouldn't recommend it because you have to be on the top here. I tried it on the sides. I didn't have any luck with it. So, yeah, I mean, it's possible to do it. You can also take down these turrets here as well, just by dropping directly on top and just grinding away at the back portion. You want to continuously do this until it drops, like so, and I'll speed this clip up. Oh, and there's something similar here. So you guys know these particular emplacements and how they can shoot these, projectiles upwards and they can land on you. You can defeat those easily by grinding on the sword. And when it comes down to the Illuminates, specifically this flesh mob here, super easy to bring down. And you do not need to use the Urchin to stun it. I'm just using it for testing purposes to just kind of show you how it's done here. Anywho, right here, you can tell I'm completely just wiping out this entire group of Overseers with just the chainsaw sword. It's so fun. Now, lastly, I just want to show this quickly. What you can do is use the chainsaw sword on something like the Harvester here. Target one specific leg, grind away on it, just make sure to hold it down, and eventually it'll collapse. Continuing on, the third item we're going to cover from the Python Commandos Warbond is the new ARGL-21-12. With this weapon, you've got the option to use semi, auto, and burst. You can see we have the choice to switch between 8mm or the 40mm grenade launcher. And of course, the different zoom scope options are there as well. So let's test it out on the Terminates faction again. This time, we'll start with the Impaler instead of the Charger, but we'll get into the Charger here soon. You're going to want to dish out an entire mag at the very top of the forehead. It'll pop and drop like so. If you're planning on using the 40mm grenade launcher, then I'll let you know right away that it'll take 4 hits, and personally, that takes too much time. Considering you could use up an entire magazine and defeat it that way instead of using 4 40mm grenade launcher. You know, it just doesn't make sense. Anyways, what we're going to do is target the backside here, the abdomen of a charger. You're going to unload one magazine, dish out one magazine to the back, and then about a few bullets towards the end there, and it'll pop completely. We're now going to try it out, but this time we're going to use the grenade launcher. And I'll let you know right now that 2 is all it takes. 2 hits to the back, and it'll pop like a pimple. Okay, so what we have next here is a Brood Commander. It's going to take about roughly a half of a magazine. That's it, and the dome will pop right off. If you're going to use the grenade launcher, 2 hits, that's it. I mean, it's all right. And if you're targeting these specific enemies here, it's 1 tap sometimes if they're weak, right? But 2 tap if they're not. And there you go. Pretty easy to take down. Super fun weapon. If you're going to use the grenade launcher on a group, whether that be scavengers or some of the other ones, it's usually a 1 tap. Unlike the Hive Guards, it's a completely different scenario, and I'll show that in just a minute. Right there, it took roughly maybe a quarter, maybe barely a half of a magazine to defeat one. Yet again, like I mentioned a few seconds ago, it takes 2 hits for the Hive Guards, which for me, it's pretty time consuming, at least in my opinion. Nevertheless, what we have here is to show off the demolition strength. I'm sure you expected this one. You can close bug holes. It's pretty obvious. Anyways, what we have next is an automaton. All you have to do is unload half a magazine, and that'll blow up the glowing heatsink. Now, on the other hand, the grenade launcher is a completely different story. All you have to do is target the backside, tap it 2 times with the grenade launcher, and it'll blow up, and it's super easy to defeat that way. Speaking of easy, you can use almost an entire magazine to defeat a Scout Strider if you target the legs. The unfortunate part about the ARGL-21 is that the grenade launcher will one-shot Scout Striders if it's unshielded. However, if it's a shielded Scout Strider, there's a chance it'll require, 2 taps to the front, or you can 1-tap it by aiming for the sides where the rockets are. But what about Devastators? It's not too bad. I mean, you can 1-tap them if you aim for the head, and towards the midsection, it's about maybe 5 hits, roughly. And for these particular enemies right here with these shields, the shielded Devastators, it's going to require 2 grenade launchers to take 1 out. Or if they're clustered together, you can obviously take out more. Basic enemies, super easy. I use it with the burst. And you can, of course, destroy fabricators with the grenade launcher. Lastly, we've got the Illuminate faction, and what I'm doing here is stunning it for testing purposes using the Urchin. You can see I've already dished out an entire magazine on 1 flesh mob. I had to back away, reload, then dish out the entire second magazine. So in total, 2 mags to take 1 flesh mob down with the new ARGL-21. Now, using the grenade launcher attachment is not the best option in my opinion. I had to inflict 4 hits, and again, I feel like, the TTK is just not good enough here. So I personally would avoid using the grenade launcher on this specific enemy and save it for something else. For example, like this Overseer here. So what we're going to do is go into the prone position, aim for the chest, and dish out a quarter of a mag. You can then dish out the other quarter towards the other Overseer right here. So it's not bad for a light pin weapon, but using the grenade launcher, again, it's just, there's something about it that I absolutely do not like, and mainly it's because it performs similar to the grenade pistol, which I'll get into the details soon on that. In the end, pretty easy weapon to use, super clean, I like it, but again, I'm going to talk more about that later on and give you my final opinion about it. Lastly, what we have here is the Guard Dog Hot Dog, and I'm going to show a few tests here on specific enemies with just the Hot Dog. If I wanted to, I could inflict more damage using the Torture, but again, I'm just doing this for testing purposes. Nevertheless, what we just saw was that the Hot Dog used up an entire canister on 1 charger, and it dropped fairly quick. Moving along, the Hulk is up next on the chopping block. I do want to point out that the Guard Dog Hot Dog used up a little bit of the canister on a different enemy on the side. So in total, it would be 1 canister for 1 Hulk, but as I just said, some of the canister was wasted on a smaller enemy. And also, like I said a few seconds ago, using something like the Torture with the Guard Dog Hot Dog wouldn't be a bad idea. In fact, it would be a great idea. Next up, we've got an Impaler here, and what I did was eliminate all the enemies on the side so I could see how many canisters it takes to defeat one Impaler. Surprisingly, it's a total of 2 canisters, and honestly, it's not too bad. I think it did a great job. The same thing with the Flesh Mob, it's going to take 2 canisters to finish 1 Flesh Mob. So while it may not be super impressive, you can of course pair it with the Torture, a Crisper, or even the Flamethrower Stratagem to inflict more damage. And as you'll see here soon, the combination is quite effective. I recommend throwing on some armor with the Fire Resistance passive, as well as some other stratagems that you plan to use, specifically that have napalm or some sort of way to inflict fire damage, right? That's what I recommend, and you'll see in this clip right here, man, it's quite effective. I absolutely loved it, and it was a great combo and something new to try. Continuing on, we've got the Rock Solid passive, which is incredible, by the way. The reason is that Overseers used to annoy me quite a lot, given that they had a staff, or still do have a staff, that can ragdoll me instantly. Well, with this new passive, I don't have to worry about ragdolling anymore. I mean, it's phenomenal, and I'm actually surprised the devs would give us an anti-ragdoll passive. Now, is it possible to ragdoll with this passive on? Sure, but from my testing, it's rare for that to even happen. And yeah, again, I absolutely love this passive. Okay, overall, what are my thoughts? Is it S tier, and should you buy it or not? So, I think everything in this Warbond is amazing. However, except for one specific item, which is the ARGL2112. And if you're wondering, no, it's not because of the light armor penetration stat. I actually think it performs well. My only issue is that the grenade launcher attachment is okay. I think I'm better off using a grenade pistol instead. Why, you might ask? Well, both the grenade launcher attachment and the grenade pistol inflict the same amount of damage, at least from my testing. Nonetheless, I think this Warbond is definitely S tier. The fact you can stun enemies with a chainsaw sword and inflict heavy armor penetration is really cool. The Maxigun can be refilled with supply packs without any sort of reloading, even though there is sort of a negative to it for some, like you know how you cannot move while firing, which for me it's not a big deal, but I can see why people are upset about it. The Hot Dog, on the other hand, is absolutely powerful, especially if you pair it with the Torture, and the Rock Solid passive is by far one of my favorite passives so far. I think it's definitely worth the purchase. If you have any thoughts, drop a comment below, and let's talk about this Warbond. With that said, thank you for taking the time to watch this. If you felt it was good enough, feel free to tap the like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Thank you again, and see you in the next one.